Have you ever wondered why you feel exhausted, even when you're not moving? Why you wake up to the sound of an alarm, not your own desire, and drag yourself into a day already owned by someone else? This is not laziness. This is not lack of motivation. This is the silent scream of alienation, a word they never taught you in school because it would have explained too much. You don't hate your job. You hate the feeling of being reduced to a function, a gear in a machine that's not yours. A smile at the front desk, a forced, "How are you?" while your soul is negotiating its own disappearance. Imagine a man in a glass cage. Outside, people cheer his freedom. But inside, every breath is timed, every move surveilled. He smiles, because he must, because the cage is invisible, and no one believes it's real. You are that man. And the glass, it's the contract you signed, the uniform you wear, the login screen that blinks, waiting to measure your obedience. This isn't work. This is ownership. But here's the trick. You are taught to be grateful for the cage, to decorate it, personalize it, compete to upgrade it. Welcome to capitalism, where exploitation wears perfume and the factory floor now fits in your pocket, branded as remote work. Because if they can convince you that this is normal, then you'll never ask who profits from your exhaustion. They told you that being useful is the highest virtue. That if you produce enough, stay busy enough, and never question enough, you'll be safe, respected, maybe even successful. But useful to whom? Think about it. A man builds a house but can't afford to live in one. A woman nurses patients back to health but skips her own appointments. A driver delivers groceries yet eats instant noodles alone in his car. Their labor moves the world, but their lives, stagnant, disposable, quietly erased. You were taught that your value comes from output, that the more you give, the more you matter. But that equation only benefits one side, and it's not yours. Behind every polished office, every app, every product you love, there's someone you'll never see. Someone whose exhaustion was rebranded as hustle. Someone whose smile was part of the service. And when they collapse, another takes their place. The machine never stops. It just replaces parts. Because in capitalism, you are not a person. You are potential profit. And the moment you stop producing, you stop mattering. Picture this. A factory powered not by electricity, but by dreams. Each worker feeds the machine with their hopes, and in return, receives just enough to keep dreaming, but never enough to leave. That's not a glitch. That's the system working exactly as intended. So ask yourself, if your usefulness requires your suffering, was it ever truly yours to begin with? You scroll through endless options. What to wear, where to eat, what to watch. You feel free, empowered, in control. But what if freedom was never about what you can choose, but what you were never allowed to question? You can choose between Pepsi and Coke, but not whether your water should be privatized. You can pick your career, but not whether the value of your life should be tied to a paycheck. This is the genius of modern capitalism. It doesn't just control your options, it convinces you that those options are liberation. You decorate your cage and call it self-expression. You pick your boss and call it empowerment. It's not a prison, they say, because the walls are made of glass and the locks are invisible. But look closer. The same 5 corporations own everything you consume. The same algorithms decide what you see, think, desire. And while you binge content to escape your stress, you're being sold to. Every second, every click. This is not freedom. This is curated consent. This is a market masquerading as a life. Imagine a man in a shopping mall with no exits. He's told to walk, explore, express himself, but every path leads back to the cashier. Every choice ends with a price. And the worst part? He thinks he's lucky to be there. That's us, that's now. Because they didn't take away our chains, they just made them look like bracelets. There are only 2 kinds of people in this system, those who own and those who produce. And if you're not sure which one you are, chances are you're the one being owned. Let's not romanticize it. You trade your hours, your energy, your body, your youth, for a wage. But the wealth you generate, it goes up, always up. You make the cake, they eat it. You build the empire, they inherit the throne. It's called surplus value. The difference between what you're paid and what your work is truly worth. That gap, that's where profit lives. That's where exploitation hides. And it's not an accident, it's the design. You're told your boss is a job creator, but you're the one creating everything. They just bought the right to claim it. It's like someone taking your voice, selling your song, and then giving you back enough money to buy a ticket to your own silence. Imagine a coal mine, not in the ground, but in your soul. Each day, a little more of your fire is extracted, burned elsewhere to keep someone else's mansion warm. And when you're empty, you're replaced. That is not partnership, that is ownership. Karl Marx said, "Capital is dead labor, which, vampire-like, lives only by sucking living labor, and lives the more labor it sucks." You feel drained because something is feeding on you. Why do you feel like a stranger in your own life? You go through the motions and log in, clock in, smile, nod, deliver, and yet, deep down, something is missing. Not just joy, but connection, meaning, wholeness. This is not just burnout. This is alienation. The slow, silent severing between who you are and what you are forced to become. In the capitalist system, you don't just sell your time. You rent out your being. Your creativity becomes protocol. Your passion becomes productivity. Your identity becomes a resume. You're no longer creating for the joy of creating. You're producing for survival. And in that transformation, something sacred is lost. Karl Marx saw this coming. He wrote that under capitalism, the worker becomes an appendage of the machine. No longer human, just function. Picture this: a painter who now fills spreadsheets, a thinker who now memorizes sales scripts, a child who once dreamed freely, now chases metrics, likes, and key performance indicators. This is the tragedy of our era. We are not suffering because we're weak. We are suffering because we've been uprooted from our own essence. Alienation is the ache you feel at 3 a.m. when the noise fades and you realize you don't know why you're doing any of this. You're surrounded by screens, but feel invisible. You're connected to thousands, but feel utterly alone. And when you try to speak it, they tell you to meditate, to hustle harder, to stay positive, as if the cure for alienation is to be even more alienated. Why don't we rise up? Why don't we scream, resist, break the system? Because we are too busy being entertained. The modern worker no longer rests. He escapes. Into screens, into noise, into endless scrolling. 1,000 choices, but none that set him free. This is not coincidence. This is pacification. Bread and circuses, said the Romans. Today, it's fast food and Netflix, social media and shopping carts, rewards for your obedience, comfort for your quiet suffering. You come home, exhausted from a job that doesn't love you, and the first thing you do is look for a new show to binge, a new sale, a new treat for surviving another day of being owned. Meanwhile, behind the glow of your phone, someone is counting the profits of your numbness. Capitalism doesn't need you to believe in it. It just needs you too tired to fight it. So it feeds you distractions, celebrity drama, viral dances, outrage cycles, so that your eyes stay busy and your soul stays quiet. Imagine a prison cell with LED lights and a screen that plays whatever you want, as long as you never look at the bars. That is us. That is now. And it works because they've colonized not just your labor, but your attention. Your hunger for beauty, for meaning, for connection is now monetized. You don't watch ads anymore. You are the ad. You don't consume content. The content consumes you. And while you're laughing, scrolling, forgetting, your cage grows stronger. They told you that if you work hard, you can climb the ladder. But no one told you the ladder is resting on your back. Meritocracy, a beautiful myth. The idea that success is earned, not given. That every billionaire is just a smarter, harder version of you. That if you're still struggling, it's because you didn't do enough. But what if the ladder doesn't lead up? What if it loops in circles, keeping you running, chasing, competing, while someone else watches from above, sipping champagne? You were never meant to win. You were meant to believe you could. Because belief is enough to keep you moving, to keep you quiet, to keep you grateful for crumbs while others feast on your labor. Let's be clear. The children of the rich are not smarter. The poor are not lazy. And success is not a finish line. It's a gate, guarded by those who inherited the key. You went to school, you followed the rules, and now you're drowning in debt interviewing for jobs that barely pay rent, while the top 1% multiplies their wealth, not through work, but through ownership. Imagine a race where some start at the finish line, and others are handed weights. Then everyone is told, "May the best man win." That's not meritocracy. That's manipulation. Karl Marx wrote, "The ruling ideas are nothing more than the ideal expression of the dominant material relationships. They don't just own your labor, they own the narrative. And when you fail, you don't blame the system. You blame yourself. That's the final trick. You've been told the system is flawed, that it's broken, chaotic, out of control. But what if the truth is far darker? What if the system is working perfectly for the ones it was designed to serve? Every eviction, every layoff, every crisis, not accidents, not side effects, but features. Because capitalism was never about fairness. It was never about opportunity. It was about control. A system where a few own the world, and the rest are taught to feel lucky to rent a piece of it. A world where billionaires are celebrated, and teachers work 2 jobs to survive, where health is a luxury, education is debt, and rest is a guilty pleasure. This is not dysfunction, this is design. A factory powered by broken dreams, a marketplace of human souls, a world where even your pain is turned into content, monetized and branded as relatable. But here's the secret they fear the most. You are not alone. Your suffering is not individual. It is systemic. And when you recognize that, your isolation becomes solidarity. Your silence becomes resistance. Karl Marx said, "Philosophers have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it. And that change does not begin in revolutions or riots. It begins in awareness, in waking up, in seeing your pain not as a failure, but as proof that you were never meant to fit inside this machine." Have you felt it? That hollow ache in the middle of your chest when the noise fades and you ask, "Is this all there is?" That's not weakness. That's your humanity, still breathing beneath the chains. So ask yourself, who profits from your exhaustion? Who sold you the dream and billed you for the nightmare? What would your life look like if you were truly free? If this video spoke to you, comment below. Share the moment when you realized something was deeply wrong. Support this work through super thanks, and if you can, not because I'm a creator, but because this message is not free in a world that sells silence. Subscribe to keep questioning, keep feeling, keep resisting, because the cage is real, but so is the key. And now, you've seen the lock.